Good morning to another exciting week to talk about business, and it's Business 360. My name is Blyden Okem on Spectrum TV. In today's Business 360, we'll look at the key features in the world of business, beginning with expense, personal income and spending data, PCI prices, the second estimate of GDP growth, corporate profits and durable goods orders. Also, fresh May purchasing managers' indexes are anticipated for the US, UK, Australia, Euro area, Japan, France, and Germany. Finally, inflation in Turkey and South Africa, as well as inflation and interest rate data for other African countries. To the G7 meeting. The 2023 G7 summit in Hiroshima, Japan. G7 leaders set forth a powerful statement of unity, strength and commitment in response to Russia's war of aggression. Leaders announced a set of concrete actions to intensify the G7 diplomatic, financial, humanitarian and security support for Ukraine, to increase the cost of Russia and those supporting its war efforts, and to continue to counter the negotiative impact of Russia's war on the rest of the world, particularly on the most vulnerable people. New sanctions and exports control. G7 leaders looking at the Thomas Labarge Research Conference. The Thomas Labarge Research Conference was created in tribute to the legacy of Thomas Labarge, former director of the Division of Monetary Affairs and advisor to Federal Reserve chairs Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen, and policy-relevant insights, and was known worldwide for his innovative work on the natural rates of interest, along with many other lasting contributions. This year's conference highlighted key issues in monetary policy. Let's have details from Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, speaking at the conference regarding policies.
Now or in the future. So, as you pointed out, we do have separate tools, monetary policy to achieve our macroeconomic objectives, liquidity, supervisory, and regulatory tools to address financial stability issues. But I see an independent. So the tools are complementary almost all of the time because financial and macroeconomic stability are so deeply intertwined. In fact, our consensus statement notes that sustainably achieving maximum employment and price stability depends on a variable. And I think as Ben's research and the global financial crisis demonstrated, financial stability affects macroeconomic stability and vice versa. We saw that clearly at the outset.
That was the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, speaking on the policies. 150,000 barrels per day Dangote Refinery, located at the Lekki Free Zone near Lagos. The pipeline infrastructure at the refinery is said to be the largest in the world, with 1,100 kilometers, and will handle 3 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day. The inauguration of the refinery comes with high expectations, and it rose from 351 billion naira in 2005 to 4.39 trillion naira in 2022, while 3.6 trillion naira was earmarked to fund fuel subsidy for the first 6 months in 2023. The government pins its hopes of ending fuel imports largely on the completion of the Dangote. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has disclosed that 98.5% of e-Naira wallets have been unused 1 year after the launch of the central bank digital currency, CBDC. This disclosure has been no major risks despite the initial glitches after the launch of the CBDC about a year ago. Nevertheless, adoption of e-Naira by households and merchants has been slow and low. Regarding the Bank of Industry, Bank of Industry grows assets by 29%. 2022 financial year. This was according to the chairman, Board of Directors Malam Aliyu Diko, during the bank's 63rd annual general meeting in Abuja Naira in 2022 from 62.28 billion Naira in 2021. The bank also declared a dividend payment of 7.82 billion Naira to its shareholder in the year, in which the bank raised over $2 billion despite the global economic headwinds. It would be a good time to look at global economic outlook, talking about economic data all around the world. The year loan prime rate was left unchanged at 3.65%, while the 5-year rate was kept at 4.3%. The move came after the board held its medium-term policy rate at 2.75%. Meanwhile, the yuan last weekend passed the key level of 7 in onshore and offshore. The annual inflation rate in Somalia quickened for a second month to a 5-month high of 6.2% in April 2023, up from 5.7% in the prior month. Main upward pressure 7.3%, the same as in March, and food and non-alcoholic beverages 6.6% against 32% rise in the prior month. It would be a good time to look at the charts indicating Somalia's inflation rate. Inflation in the war-torn zone stood at 7.7% before dropping to 7.6%, and as of October 2022, inflation had reached 6.9%. By January this year, it had gone further downward to 5.6%, indicating a slowdown in the increase in the price of commodity and a stronger strength of the currency. The National Bank of Angola kept its benchmark policy rate unchanged at 17% in a sustained downward trend in inflation since the start of last year, largely driven by an increase in reaching its lowest point since July 2015 at 10.59%. Even or done, the decision reached based on inflation standing. When inflation is going higher, interest rates seem to increase in fight of inflation. But in Angola, interest rate had been downward, indicating a slowdown in inflation consistently for 9 consecutive months. By April 2022, the interest rate was as high as 20%, but began to slow down. Interest rate, which is a cost of borrowing, slowed down to 19.5%, indicating improvement in the economy, as well as improvement in the state of inflation, which isn't going away.
Banks are also among nations in both supply and demand can affect its price. Although it's usually on the money is reduced, the price of gold tends to rise. Times of uncertainty. To find out more.
Factors affecting the price of gold. Welcome back. And worries about China are to be blamed. Hopes of and what can it tell us about Chinese demand?
We're talking copper, and it's important because it's at its lowest price in the world. And if it's using less, let's look at the price. Back in January, copper climbed above $9,500 per ton. There was real hope this year. There have been quite a few worrying signs coming out of China. We are particularly concerned about the health of the property market. We need to look at inventories too. That's basically stock. They are at their highest level since October last year. And if there's lots of stock, why would you buy new? So, where next for copper? Well, we are cautious for now.
Let's move to the metal market to see the standings in the morning market. The metal market this morning. The market this morning has shown some positivity, but mostly decline, but no volatility in the market this morning. For gold price, it's $1,977 per ounce, gaining just 0.79 points, a 0.04% appreciation. For silver, it's slightly downward this morning, $23 per ounce. Copper, slightly downward too, decline. Current price for steel, 3,628 Chinese yuan, per ton. And that's the story regarding the metal market.
Determine the price of oil. The general global economic outlook has the largest impact on determining oil prices. Conflicts and agreements between countries, particularly oil-producing ones, can have an immediate price impact. Major oil companies like ExxonMobil, Chevron and Shell constantly changes in refining capacity can increase or decrease access to cheap oil. Oil inventories in countries like the US and Saudi Arabia are announced every week, a metric that oil traders follow closely. Fluctuations reflect the strength or weakness of the economy and how oil prices might behave in the short term. To find out more about oil prices and trading oil futures, here's 5 factors that could determine the price of oil.
The US crude and Brent crude, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, the energy market. The energy market this morning has seen huge decline, just slight performance upward, but the volatility in the market is quite low. Crude oil price is $71 per barrel. For Brent crude, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, is $75 per barrel, dropping by 0.105 points. For natural gas, a little here, a little there. Gasoline, same story. Heating oil, not really moving higher, it's slightly lower. For coal is gaining 2.9 points this morning. $162 per ton is the price of coal. Let's look at the agricultural market also this morning. What the perspective is for soybeans. Soybeans price is gained 10 points this morning, a 0.8% appreciation. $1,317 per bushel is the price of soybeans. For wheat, it's downward by 2.95 points, a negative 0.49 percentage points. Current price for wheat $602 per bushel. Lumber has gained just 5 points. Palm oil in the market. To the foreign exchange market next. The South African rand fell to a new record low of 19.5 per US dollar at the end of last week, before trimming losses back to 19.4 mark, ahead of a sovereign credit review by the rating agency S&P Global against record power outages. Concerns among investors mounted after South Africa's state power utility Eskom warned about a possible high-stage 8 load shedding in coming months to prevent a total collapse of the grid. Concomitantly, the currency has been recently hit by diplomatic tensions with the US due to alleged supply of weapons to Russia. Let's move to the market and see the standings in the morning market regarding the currency pairs, beginning with the euro against the US dollar and afterward the US dollar against the naira. The euro this morning. The euro against the US dollar have indicated no significant growth in the market. 1.08 is the mark. For the pounds against the US dollar, still standing at 1.24 point mark, dropping 0.014 points this morning, a negative significantly 2.66 points against the naira in the market. Previous standing 0.58, the gain for the day 0.58 percentage points. In today's opening of the market, it's been a huge gain for the US dollar against the naira. I've not seen this gain in over a month or 3 months' time. It's not been up to this point. For the euro against the naira, current price 500, a naira equaling 1 euro, gaining 4.6 points over the naira. The naira is struggling in the market. For the pounds against the naira, it's gained 5.14 points against the naira. The Australian dollar also gaining against the naira. Let's move to the power market to see the effect. Let's also move to the digital currency to see the standing in the digital market after the struggle with the fiat. Bitcoin, current price 26,857 points this morning per dollar. 26,859 US dollar equaling 1 Bitcoin, dropping by 19 points, a negative 0.07 percentage decline. For Ether, it's 1,813 US dollar for 1 Ether. Ether is gaining slightly 7 points in the morning market. Your decline by 12 points for Binance, adding that. Let's look at the stock market next. What the standings are within the stock market, and we begin with the Asian stock. Asian equity market mostly today are advanced as the People's Bank of China left its key lending rate unchanged for the 9th consecutive month in an effort to keep the economy supported. Investors also looked ahead to the resumption of expected due to banking sector stresses. Shares in Japan, Hong Kong and mainland China advanced, while Australian stocks declined this morning. Let's move to the market and look at the state of things regarding the Asian stock and afterward the African stock. The Asian stock this morning. The Asian stock has shown good positivity this morning, beginning with Japan JP 225 at an index level of 31,087. It increased by 278 all-share index, gaining 0.9 percentage point this morning. For Chinese stocks, Shanghai also gaining 13 points, CSI 300 in China gaining 25 points this morning, Shanghai 50 gaining 25 points, CH50 still in percentage increase. Let's look at the African stock market. What the standings are for the African stock market, beginning with Nigerian stock. The NSE all share, which is Nigerian stock market, is at 52,188 index level, gaining 79 points and 20-point decline for the SA all. For Egyptian stock, it's gained 116 points this morning. Let's look at Nigerian stock market also, what the stock market in Nigeria itself is. Amid morning trades, beginning with Dangote Cement's current price is 270 naira per share, and no significant gain in the morning market as the refinery, Dangote Refinery, is about to be commissioned this morning. Buhari Cement is at 82 naira 70 kobo per price share, downward by 7.3 points. But First Bank Nigeria holding also at 12 naira, as well as Fidelity Bank. This is the outlook of today's Business 360, and we draw the curtain here. My name is Blyden Ukem. Thank you for watching.